son of Joel, kneel before Zod.
Should just tell him to take a timeout right there, recalibrate, and just take a knee.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. You have made it to the halfway point of the football season here as we do another episode of the OSG Sports College Football Podcast, The Review. I say we've made it to the halfway point because a majority of the teams in college football, guys, have made it to 6 games at this point, so we should have some idea where things stand. But yet we don't.
No clue.
And I would say normally we should start with kind of the top-ranked teams and what happened with them, but it's kind of hard to look past what happened last night in Miami.
Oh, my God.
With the exception of maybe a play in the NFL, many years ago, this might be the dumbest coaching move in the history of college football.
Well, I mean, you had the offensive lineman cutaway on the sidelines, Marty, where he's going, what the blank are we doing? And blank was not the word he was using.
Yes, I was watching that in the bedroom, so it wasn't the larger screen I normally watch on, and I could still read those lips.
Yes. And go
as
for
somebody, it. As a lifelong Cleveland Browns fan, I have seen some dumb coaching.
That's true.
Dumb ownership, but dumb coaching more so. That is the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, let's set the scene here a little bit. The Miami Hurricanes have the ball again. They're playing Georgia Tech. They have the ball late in the game. What was it, like 45 seconds left to go? Basically, all they have to do is take on third down, all they have to do is take a knee and the clock runs out.
Get it under 40 seconds. The 40-second clock hadn't started. You're fine.
But instead, for some reason, quarterback Tyler Van Dyke ends up handing off to his running back on a kind of a dive play over the middle, and lo and behold, he fumbled.
Well, okay. Officially, the call was a fumble. I would maintain, and yes, as the Florida State alum in this conversation, do not misunderstand me. I was laughing my ass off about what transpired. But also, I will stipulate that it looked like the runner's shoulder hit the ground, and he hit the ground himself before the ball was stripped out. That's just my opinion on the whole thing. He was down. That's my thought. It was called a fumble on the field, went to video review, and they reinforced the call because it has to be, it was inconclusive to turn the call. I swear to God, I thought he was down. I thought Miami escaped. I was wrong, and we were laughing about it. Someone, if not multiple someones, Marty, have to be fired.
Yeah, except they can't fire Mario Cristobal, can they?
Why
I was going to say coaches or referees, because that wasn't the only referee issue this week. The Ohio State game, some of the officiating calls were so bad. They called it an official. The official called sideline on the coach when he didn't bump him.
Yeah, but they didn't.
So bad that Joe Klatt even brought it up. It's like, is there something going on between those two? Because that was petty.
Yeah, but that didn't cost them the football game. This cost Miami the football game because Georgia.
You got to figure out who made the call. If it was Mario, then Mario has to self-suspend. If it was an OC, you've got to either self-suspend or jettison the individual. I mean, you can't do something that's stupid.
They'll fire him, and then they could do something worse. They could fire him and pick up our favorite Iowa offensive coordinator.
Oh, Brian Ferentz.
Finish up the description of what happened. They the call on the field becomes a fumble. Georgia Tech gets the ball. They're 60, 70 yards away from the end zone with 30 seconds to go. And all of a sudden, on their fourth play, quarterback Haynes King drops back, finds a wide open Christian Leary streaking towards the end zone. Boom, 44-yard TD pass. Game over. Miami wins. Miami loses.
And boom goes the dynamite. First and foremost, how are you in that secondary letting how are you letting Christian Leary get that wide open? That is another part of all of this. Third, The quitter made sure that Haynes King was not around in College Station. So he goes to Georgia Tech and finds a home. There are so many subplots to this. It's not even funny, but the bottom line is a call that should have only been taken a knee wasn't. A fumble that I don't think was a fumble was. Georgia Tech had 2 plays, 1 play to get you within decent field position. You had 10 seconds. You could have made 2 plays to get a game-winning field goal. Instead, defense loses track of the receiver. How do you do this?
How do you not tackle him as he goes by you
It
to
is
just give up the yardage?
Yes, it is a multiplicity of failures on multiple portions of the ball here. Marty, I'm still stunned, and we haven't even gotten into Pac-12 after dark.
As a player, how do you not just take a knee on that Miami drive anyway? And do you think when the officials are in the booth talking that over, going like, that might not have been a fumble, but for trying something that stupid, you deserve to lose the ball?
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. It's like you deserve to not get that call just for that very reason.
Yeah, we were having that discussion here in the office as well.
And as much as I'd like to say that's a fireable offense by Mario Cristobal, Miami can't fire him.
No, but the OC, they could.
Yeah.
Seriously, like I was laughing so hard at that. My neighbors have to be wondering what the hell was going on yesterday at my house.
Cristobal's in the second year of a very, very large contract that Miami
pronounce it Cristal.
Yeah. Fire him for cause. You can fire him for cause for sure.
Oh,
yeah,
God, yes.
Unfortunately, they can't kind of do that and then have the program.
Like I said, I know that probably the OC is going to end up falling on the sword for this one, but something's got to happen because there were so many failures on so many phases of the ball. It just and Miami lost, and as I said, as the FSU alum on the show, darn.
Hey, what we lose in coaching, we make up for in consistency.
That's true.
Yeah, or to quote a Simpsons character. Moving on, guys. Another bizarre game.
Pac-12 after dark. I mean, come on now.
Forever Pac-12 after dark series. USC somehow manages to beat Arizona 43-41 in 3 overtimes. But I don't know about you. I didn't watch the game, but just reading the box score and the description of what happened, how the heck did they win that game?
It was 28-28, and then Arizona had a chance for a game-leading field goal with a handful of minutes to go, and they missed it from 50, and then it ends up going to free football. First and foremost, I'm going to say it right now. This whole idea of after the second overtime turning it into trick play-a-palooza on your 2 points and just making it a challenge of the 2 points, it's just no. I get the idea of not wanting to turn it into the 9 OT thrillers that we've had in conferences in the past, but this whole idea of, okay, where are we in the book? Well, let's find another trick play. And you end up winning it on the swinging gate because Caleb Williams is a tremendous athlete. And you get the win at like 2:40 in the morning Eastern time, Marty. It's just, I'm tired of this new overtime fiasco setup.
Well, if they change the clock rules back, you might not get to that point.
Yeah.
Where's that picture of a dead horse? Do we have the dead horse footage to throw in there?
Restrain your cudgel, sir. Yes.
Sorry, PETA. It's just silly.
It's so bad.
But like, is there any good football teams in Arizona?
Northern, maybe.
Oh, the Wildcats are not terrible.
Yeah, but a team like USC, granted, their defensive coordinator keeps all teams in.
You got to put them away. The USC should have been put away in this one. They really should have.
Just look at statistics only. Arizona, 506 total yards. They had the ball for 35 minutes in the game and held USC to only 365 total yards of offense. By all statistical purposes, they should have won the game.
That's no mean-ish. You know that.
Oh, I know. But
analytics.
Yeah, you can't really criticize the Wildcats there. They a heck of an effort.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
They had a 17-0 lead at one point, and then USC has to come back at the mausoleum to try and send that one to free football, and they ended up doing so. But I mean, It's just, oh man, it was for a different reason. You end up being frustrated as you stay awake until 2:30, 2:45 in the morning East Coast time to watch a game like that.
And moving on to some arguably pretty good football. I don't know if you guys got to watch the noon kickoff of the Red River rivalry, Oklahoma and Texas. That was a good game, guys.
Always is.
Oklahoma got the win 34-30. Neither team has anything to be ashamed of. They both played hard. They both played well. Couple scores late in the game were the difference. Oklahoma gets the win on a great play by Dylan Gabriel right there toward the buzzer. 34-30. Oklahoma wins. Texas is no longer undefeated.
They played hard.
Now, are they going to get the SEC bias in the polls and still like maintain where they are?
I don't know if they're going to get that grandfathered in. I think,
or they got to wait till next year to get that.
I think they wait till next year. I think Oklahoma moves up. I think Texas moves down a little bit. But yeah, Texas. By the way, Texas is back. Texas is back. By the way, I thought you knew this.
For 5 weeks they were.
Yeah, back to outside of the top 5.
Ah!
Yeah, I
got to listen to make sure my house isn't getting attacked.
The noise outside Marty's house.
Ignore the fire. Ignore the fire.
In the Southwest office, all of a sudden you just hear all these missiles showing up.
Yeah, all I know is you can't leave the house. Do not even look at Interstate 35, either one of them, east or west. It's a crap show. I did see some interesting things. There was a car that had a stuffed bevo that looked like they won it at the fair in years previous, and they had it upside down on the back bumper.
Nice bevo, thanks. Just had it stuffed.
Good win for Oklahoma. Brett Venables, his defense all of a sudden looks for real, and with Dylan Gabriel running things, they're a threat.
Well, how about the possibility of a Big 12 championship rematch of that, which would be great to watch. But like, if you're the commissioner of that conference, two teams leaving
on the way out the door, they end up playing each other twice, and the second one to determine any kind of bid.
Granted, you're going to make a ton off the gate of that game if that happens.
And the irony would be sweet because the Big 12 basically let it be known everybody should be taking their shots at Oklahoma and Texas this year. Only to see them both dominate the conference would be some interesting irony.
Ha 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 ha. And this is where we twirl our handlebar mustache for them. There you go, Marty. By the way, Marty, I give Marty full credit for busting out the old BCS logo lid. I give him full credit for going retro this week.
Indeed. Some other interesting games this week. Texas A&M and Alabama.
The ground didn't open up. I was so disappointed. I wanted Bane to show up and treat it like the Batman movie where the ground, he attacks the ground opens up at Heinz Field, and both teams would just sink through it. But
dude,
unfortunately,
as a Browns fan, like that is seriously, I rewatched just that part of the movie, like all through the football season. And Heinz Ward falling into a hole is also another bucket list dream of mine.
Some really questionable coaching decisions there by your favorite coach, John.
Quitter?
Yes.
Gee, what a shock. But hey, he's getting paid $84 million guaranteed. He can do whatever he wants and doesn't care. Oh, and by the way, apparently
ask Mel Tucker about that statement, though.
He's going full Grizzly Adams now, and just as apparently has abandoned razors on premise. He's turning into Dan Haggerty all of a sudden. That's your Google reference.
Way to differentiate himself.
Dude, if you were that bad of a coach, would you let him have a razor? That's one way to get out of the contract.
Yes.
Yeah, are we looking at new head coach, Texas A&M, or interim Texas A&M?
Backstabber?
Bobby Petrino.
The backstab. You've got the quitter and the backstabber. The quitter and the quitter. I mean, literally, you've got a guy who left a Dear John note on every chair in an NFL locker room.
Oh, I lived through that.
I know you did. We all did. Getting calls in the middle of the night. Hey, he's gone. Not that it wasn't a good riddance, but the way that he left. And then he has one of the weirdest press conferences ever where he shows that he can do Woo Pig Suey later that evening in front of a bunch of large boosters. And
John, I'm not even sure that's as strange as the one that he showed up with the arm in a sling and all black-eyed from.
Oh no, from the
Oh,
wreck.
Jesus.
Yeah, to try and explain away an incident. No, it was, but that's par for the course. So you've got two quitters and one that wants the current head quitter's job in College Station. Literally, that is where things are right now.
So
Don't think for
we
a
should
second.
probably check out the website. I want to see like the coaching staff photos. It's just like 5 poop emojis.
That would be on the Wikipedia page.
I'll go through a couple of games here that only are really kind of worth of mention. Georgia decided to be Georgia this week. They downed Kentucky 51-13 in a game that really wasn't even that close.
Done playing with their food.
Yes, they
Yeah,
are.
Michigan, same thing. They played Minnesota 52-10. We really don't need to talk too much about that. That's the obvious.
PJ Fleck went out of the job.
Marty's Ohio State Buckeyes struggled a little bit early with Maryland, had a tough time, but pulled away in the fourth quarter. They win 37-17. Really, again, not much to say there other than the fact that Ohio State is being Ohio State there.
How about them Louisville Cardinals?
Yeah, how about that? Nice win there. 33-20 over Notre Dame in Louisville. Jeff Brom, your new mayor of Louisville, maybe?
Yes, absolutely, he is.
ACC Coach of the Year.
7-7 at the break, and then they score 26 points in the second half. Mazel tov. Well done, sir.
The Cardinals are undefeated, guys. They're 6-0.
Yeah, they're 6-0. Yeah, they're 6-0.
And were they ranked going into that?
25, yeah.
Yeah, they were 20.
Because I was still trying to figure out how Maryland was 5-0 and putting up good numbers, but we're unranked. Oh yeah, they're not in the SEC.
They play in the Big Ten, so they did not have much of a schedule going into the Ohio State game.
No. UCLA took it to Washington State, so Wazoo was ranked at 13. They lose. And what was the other? Oh yeah, by the way, Georgia Tech beat Miami.
Hey, look, that hat I'm wearing is a reference to Miami choking. At the end.
But no, another sneaky game that Marty and I talked about last week. Wyoming in Laramie got the Duke, knocking off Fresno State by 24-19, and they scored all their points in the first half, by the way. So Wyoming is sneaky 5-1 now in the Mountain West. Fresno State now knocked off from the ranks of the unbeaten.
Great Bowl and the Cowboys, the team nobody wants to play in their own stadium.
Well, yeah, because you ever travel out there?
Yeah.
I understand it might be in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, so getting to Laramie is what our dear friend Tommy Palmer used to say was a pack a lunch, a dinner, and a midnight snack trip.
I got to give a shout out for a lower division game.
As you should.
1AA, because I'm not going to use the BS title.
No alphabet soup for the 1AAs.
Youngstown State takes out Southern Illinois Salukis 31-3.
Fair enough.
Oh, and Virginia got a win. It's been a long year for Virginia, and I mean that 365 days. Virginia got a win. Yes, I know it was beating Bill and Mary, but talk about a program that really needed a win. Virginia got a win yesterday. 27-13, your final. Virginia is now 1-5, but congratulations to everybody in Charlottesville for getting a win. Desperately needed one. Oh, and Northwestern, Marty, remember our budget games last week? Northwestern barely beat Howard. Northwestern 23-20, and it was with a backup quarterback. So they bring in Howard for homecoming, and they only won by 3.
Goodness gracious.
And they held them off at that. Howard out 13-0 in the fourth quarter, so the Wildcats barely hung on for the win.
Go Bison! Oh, and I don't know what this is, but it seems to be a fairly consistent thing. Every single time you give Gus Malzahn a contract extension, then
Immediately.
short order,
Immediately.
everything just goes off the ledge. I mean, like Wile E. Coyote in the cartoon, you just sit there and it just like drops.
Me.
And it was 24-0 at the break. It was 31-0 in the third quarter. Kansas now 5-1. UCF gave up 51 points in Lawrence and lost 51-22. So cause and effect. contract extension.
Yeah,
When it
this
comes to
part,
Melson.
this is the part where I really would have liked to have heard J-Dub's thoughts on that.
He would have blown out his voice again.
No, it would have been really fun to see him try to do that on flashcards.
Actually, well, we probably should requisition that, and you can do it as an insert edit. It's like just get him to do a whiteboard, sit there, and J-Dub, we need your reaction for your KU Jayhawks beating UCF in Lawrence. Holds up a card for like a jump cut.
Will we have to blur any of those cards?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and toss it to halftime here as we kind of rattled on enough about games that happened over the past weekend. When we come back in the second half of the show, we'll talk next week's games.
Games on a budget.
Games on a budget. And Brother Wilkie will join me for a segment where we'll talk a little bit more about his favorite conference, the ACC, and a couple other odds and ends. And you never know what else. That more we return for the second half of the review. You are listening to the review on the OSG Sports Podcasting Network.
Please like and subscribe.
Over here in the OSG Sports side of things, we talk football. FOOTBALL. College football version here with the college football review every single week. But for those of you that like not just football with two O's, but football with a U, FUTBOL, there's the Soccer Down Here Network. I'm John Nelson. I host the morning show on Soccer Down Here along with Jarrett Smith, Nick Alifi, Jason Longshore. And if you're looking for the best information when it comes to the world of soccer, based in the southeastern United States, but we don't leave anything off the table. 9:05 Eastern time until 11 whenever. Sometimes we go for a while. SDH Network morning show, soccer's morning show, Monday through Friday, plus all the live events we do. It is your place and your source for soccer that is based in the Southeast, but covers everything on the world. SoccerDownHere.net, the Soccer Down Here app, available iOS and Android through our friends at Spreaker. That's like speaker with an R in the middle. Spreaker, do a search for OSG Sports, do a search for Soccer Down Here. All the soccer content all in one place. It is the SDH Network and Soccer Down Here.
Thanks for sticking around, everybody. You've made it to the second half of the review. The faces have changed a little bit. I'm still here, but joining me for the second half will be Brother Wilkie, who was unable to get to the first half of the show. Brother Wilkie, we were talking before we hit the record button here. There were some really interesting games, but I'd be, I guess, kind of remiss in my duty here if I didn't ask you your thoughts on that craziness in Miami last night, because that's all anybody's talking about.
Yeah. The first thing I thought about is this gets Joe Prasargic off the hook a little bit, doesn't it? From the Miracle of the Meadowlands. Because
we were talking about it earlier, but that's the guy.
I mean, this again, and you hear Don Hasselbeck the whole time during the broadcast going, just take a knee. And then the unthinkable happens and they fumble the ball with about 35 seconds left. And then Miami does. And then you think about, okay, Georgia Tech is deep in their own territory. It's going to take a couple of miracles to score. And well, they get a chunk play, and then they get a chunk play for a touchdown with about a second left.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's one of the most boneheaded coaching moves I can think of since the Miracle of Meadowlands in '78 with Prasargic and Herman Edwards.
That was the end.
So, yeah. How's this going to affect Miami down the road? I mean, that's going to linger for a long time, especially with Mario Cristobal, because he's going to hear that all year, not only from us, the media, but probably from some of his coaching colleagues as well. Like, what are you thinking?
Pretty much anybody that inhabits the Miami campus.
Well, I'll tell you the impressive thing about Miami right now, Phil, was getting the field ready for the Dolphin game because they had what 12 hours to get the field ready.
Yep.
So that's probably the most impressive thing that's happened in Miami. We'll see how the Dolphins play, but that was pretty cool.
So far, so good. My Dolphins are looking good. And some other games. I mean, there were a lot of pretty good games this week, particularly in the early slot. At least that's the ones that jumped out to me with Oklahoma, Texas, and the Red River rivalry, which is one of your favorite games.
Yeah, the Red River Shootout.
The Ohio State Maryland game is interesting. Was it LSU and Mizzou is an interesting game. What really stood out to you this week when you looked through the series of what games and what happened in the results?
Well, you mentioned the biggies. First of all, Oklahoma, Texas. Everybody knows that my affection for that rivalry, the Red River Shootout, and I think we need to start looking at Oklahoma as a national championship contender because Dylan Gabriel had his coming out party, even though he had a really good career at Central Florida and won some big games there. This is the biggest game he won, and Gabriel had to wait a year to play in this game. And boy, did he make the most of it. And the most impressive thing about Oklahoma to me was getting the third down stops when they did. And now that defense has really fully embraced Brent Venables' system. And I think we need to look at the Sooners as a national championship contender now. And when you look at their schedule, it kind of helps them out. They do go to Kansas in a couple of weeks to play the Jayhawks in Lawrence. But what I've seen of Oklahoma, what I've seen of Kansas, Oklahoma is really got I think better talent than the Jayhawks do. And the one game that concerns me in their schedule is going to BYU late in November. I think that's going to be the one they got to get over the hump. Texas, look, Quinn Evers did everything he needed to do. Texas just, allowed too many big plays by Oklahoma in a series that's always full of big plays to begin with. But how are they going to respond at Houston next week is what I'm curious about, because the rivalry games like this, those losses linger. And but I would not be shocked to see these two teams playing in the Metroplex in Arlington at the Big 12 championship game. That's where I think that'll be interesting because Texas are going to be ticked off, and we'll see where Oklahoma is if the two should match up.
Pretty ironic considering both teams are playing their last Big 12 season, and the conference commissioners already come out and said, boys, make them painful for them. Well, actually, it's the other way around. They're making it painful on everybody else, it looks like.
Yeah, but what I'm think might happen as we get toward the late October and November is how many calls are going to start going against both schools as we get toward the end of the year. What breaks are they going to get? Well, that's going to be interesting because I just remember years ago when Arkansas left the Southwest Conference, and I was covering the Razorbacks in '91, how it was very resentful, and a lot of calls did not go the Hogs' way that year. Just wondering when will that start coming up with Oklahoma, Texas in the Big 12?
I want to get your thoughts on a game, particularly with your background in the ACC. What did you think when you saw what Louisville and Notre Dame did? I don't know that there were a whole lot of people that would have had Louisville being 6-0 and beating Notre Dame on their bingo card. Did you?
No, well, nobody had Louisville being 6-0 right now. At best, you thought this was a mediocre team, but I think all the credit needs to go to Jeff Brom here. And he's probably already locked up National Coach of the Year award. This is a native son who's come back home, and he had success at Purdue, and he's brought that system to Louisville, and the players have responded. You got a few new players out of the transfer portal that have really helped the program. but this is not a just a stop on his coaching journey. This is probably his destination. And I think that's really going to benefit Louisville. They're way ahead of schedule, though, as far as becoming a factor in the ACC. But they're now a factor, and they're control their own destiny and to get to the championship game and have an outside shot at the playoff. So again, I was really impressed with Louisville. Notre Dame always gets everybody's A game, and they got it again with Louisville, and Louisville just proved to be a talented bunch out there. And Sam Hartman had his struggles, but tip your hat to Louisville for the performance they had against the Irish.
Also want to get your thoughts on a game that I think we were texting back and forth a little bit yesterday on LSU and Missouri. That was a back and forth game that Missouri had a pretty good chance of winning, and that loss would have really upended LSU's season in a year where their expectations were pretty damn high.
The one thing I after the game I kept thinking about was LSU relies so much on Jalen Daniels.
Oof.
I mean, he threw for over 300 yards and rushed for 150 yards around those. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but he just carried that team in Columbia. And Missouri came prepared. I was really impressed with the Tigers in this game, but Jalen Daniels put on his cape and became Superman. That's why LSU won. And I just don't know if LSU can sustain that throughout the rest of the season. Somebody else has got to step up offensively for the Tigers. And, the defense has been an issue all year. So, I'm not all that high on LSU right now, but, Jalen Daniels is doing all he can, knock on wood, he stays healthy and, helps the Tigers out. But I just think they depend way too much on Jalen Daniels in this game or throughout the year. They've got to find somebody else to carry the load.
And one of the other games we talked about before we started recording here, really interesting matchup up in Wyoming, where Fresno State took their number 24 ranking and their lead in the group of 5 standings for teams that could potentially make it into the playoff conversation, took it to Wyoming and had what happened to them, walked away from that game. I couldn't spit this out. Walked away from that game with what many teams heading up to Wyoming have done and lost.
Well, I think now people are starting to recognize the Cowboys as that potential New Year's Six bowl team from the group of 5. This is a team that beat Texas Tech in Lubbock, had Texas on the ropes in the fourth quarter in Austin, tied at 10 before some things went Texas's way and the Horns got the win. Wyoming is a solid football team. Craig Bowl is a guy that can flat out coach, and he got an impressive win over Fresno State. This sets up a showdown with the other Mountain West team that's getting a lot of national attention. That's Air Force, and they'll play next week. I believe in Colorado Springs. I don't have that in front of me either, but Wyoming was very impressive. And if you're a Power 5 team that has them on their schedule for years to come, you need to buckle up and bring your A game, and you're not going to be in for an easy effort. But I was very impressed with the Cowboys. I'm looking forward to watching them play Air Force because more than likely that's going to be the team that's going to be in the New Year's Six Bowl representing the group of 5.
Any other games that really kind of jumped off the page for you?
Couple thoughts about some thoughts about USC and Arizona. First of all, Arizona played great, and I was really impressed with the Wildcats in that game. Southern Cal fans are getting the frustrations that Oklahoma fans had with Lincoln Riley. Flat out, probably the best offense in the country, can move down the field. but they are just saddled with a defense that has way too many holes. And Caleb Williams had an off night last night, but he got it done. He had a couple of Heisman Trophy moments in the overtime. So I think Southern Cal is one of those teams that are they're good enough to win the conference, but probably not good enough to win a national title. And some of the frustrations that Oklahoma fans had with the Sooners during the Lincoln Riley era, Southern Cal fans are going to have the same issues.
Any other games that looked interesting? I mean, there were some doozies, as we should say.
Well, Georgia's not messing around anymore. That's for sure.
No, not totally unexpected after everybody kind of down talked them a little bit.
And I've never understood why Georgia fans get all hot and bothered when playing Kentucky. It seems like they just go bat poop crazy because they're playing the Wildcats and they think, oh, it's going to be a tough game. And they end up putting up half 100 on them.
Yeah, breaking into quarterback and new offense.
Yeah, exactly.
Back, they had to cut it. It just takes time.
Yeah, I think we're going to start seeing the emergence of North Carolina. Drake May had another great game, and I think he's building his Heisman resume. And whether he's going to get some national looks or not is going to be the issue because they've got Miami and Duke on the schedule, and who knows how Miami's going to respond after their loss to Georgia Tech. And Duke, Riley Leonard isn't going to be playing for a while. So North Carolina, I wouldn't. I would say you more than likely see them in the ACC championship game. They've gone past their struggles here. They've kind of figured some things out, as has Drake May, and I think the Tar Heels are now starting to play really well. And a lot's going to be made about Ohio State and Maryland. Look, Maryland's a much better team than they've been in the past. That was one of the games you and I texted back and forth about. I really thought Maryland looked better. They didn't have the depth of talent that Ohio State has, especially in the defensive part of the ball. Yeah, so they ran out of gas, and they weren't getting the big plays anymore that they were getting in the first half. So I wouldn't worry too much Ohio State fans about their prospects because Maryland's a much better football team. And then how can you not be impressed with Michigan right now? They just are pressing all the right buttons and doing all the right things. And I'll tell you, the Big Ten is going to be, as we head down the stretch, because I know Ohio State and Penn State are going to be playing in a couple of weeks.
Of course,
I think the Big
play at the end of the year.
Ohio State, Michigan, right at the end of the year. I really think the Big Ten is going to be the league to really pay attention to because there's some really good football teams there, and two of them are going to be in the playoff.
Sure. Wanted to take a minute here. I think we've kind of covered a lot of the big games and some of the real interesting details on some games we didn't cover earlier in the show. And for those of you new to the show, we're about to toss it over to John and Marty, and I'm going to join them for a couple minutes as well. And we're going to talk a little bit about a segment that we have here on the review. It's college football on a discount. If you want to know where to find the cheapest games all season long, here's your chance.
And through the magic of edits, it's time to do the segment that we always like to do to wrap up the show every single week. It is football on a budget. And what we like to do here is we like folks to kind of widen their horizons a little bit. If there's a place that you've never been, if there's a team that you've never seen, and you might be in that particular part of the planet and you sit there and go, oh, that might be interesting. What we like to do is we like to encourage, regardless of division, first and foremost, NAIA, Division III, Division II, 1AA, Division I. Widen your horizons, and so you can have a broader experience when it comes to college football. But with the Division I folks, what we like to do is we don't want you to spend your bank account to go see a game, because there are those opportunities that Phil and Wilkie talked about just a second ago. We want you to do it on a budget. Marty has come across things, and he's added context. You know, there was a game at Tulane a couple weeks ago where you could get in for $2. Marty would buy 5 tickets because he wanted that row to himself.
So
there's
beyond
one that's
context,
close to that
comfort.
this week.
Yeah. And so traditionally what we like to do is we like to set a bar of $9 for a get-in price. And Marty,
Less than the cost of a soda in most Division I stadiums.
correct. And
Really,
so
probably all of them.
yeah. So what we do is we run through the games, and we'll sit there and it's like $9 or less. Unless there aren't a whole lot of $9 games, and we may broaden our horizon to say maybe $15 or something like that. Just so you can have
We adjust for inflation.
Yes, we do adjust for inflation here. So we've got the rundown of the games in Division I, and Marty will either raise his glass or he will scoff at the particular matchup that we will bring across the table. So do we have, because of the lack of single-digit get-in prices, are we going to stipulate to a price for this week?
Let's set a $20 bill. How about that?
All right, so we'll go 20. All right, so we'll go $20 here. And starting on Tuesday, there are plenty of those. Louisiana Tech at Middle Tennessee. Get in $11 in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Yay or nay?
It is a Conference USA matchup, but Tennessee's 1-5, so those could end up down by the $2 one. But I'm not feeling it.
Okay, not feeling
Meh.
because you're also a half hour outside of Nashville, and you would have to go to Nashville a half hour away if you wanted to expand your horizon on this mini midweek vacation.
That depends on which direction you're coming to Nashville from.
That's
If
true.
you're coming from the south.
And if your significant other has a bachelorette party.
True. That is true. So you're about a half hour away. So we will let you choose for $11. Phil's self-imposed ceiling, 7:30 Tuesday night, Liberty at Jacksonville State at Burgess Snowfield, Jacksonville, Alabama. Get in $20. That seems a little steep for me on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
Especially for those two teams.
Yeah.
Although they both have 5 wins.
Yes. So I mean, it would be a good game, but to go to Jacksonville, Alabama for $20 on a Tuesday night might get a little out of hand. Wednesday.
I'd stick with it on the 4-letter plus 1 letter.
Yes. Yes. There you go.
Not the number, the plus letter.
So you don't need extra subscription. You could actually watch it if you've got the sports package on whichever way you see live or streaming content.
Yes. Wednesday, UTEP at Florida International at Ricardo Silva Stadium in Boca Raton, Florida. Get in price $9.
I'm in.
Okay.
Just because that the lottery's 1.5 billion.
Yes.
So I'm feeling lucky. I want to see if I need to start checking out places to retire to.
Yes.
Yeah, Boca Raton's not a bad place to go on a weekend if you got nothing better going on.
So Florida International hosting UTEP is a thumbs up for both of you. Las Cruces, New Mexico, Aggie Memorial Stadium, Sam Houston State, the Bearcats with a K, taking on New Mexico State. Get it in price $18. I don't think it does. It doesn't sound like a great vote of confidence from either one of you.
It's too rich for that matchup.
Yeah, and it's also a place that's not so cheap, quick, or easy to get to.
Okay, so that
Welcome to Conference USA.
yes. Thursday, and this is interesting. Thursday, 7:00 at TDECU Stadium, the home of your Houston Roughnecks. West Virginia at Houston.
That's West by God, Virginia.
WV BGU.
Not the Georgia Houston.
No, at Houston. At your, talking about the Cougars womp womp. At TDECU, 7 Eastern on FS1, get in price $3. Marty
You might not be able to get FS1 on your cable because
I
don't know.
It's FS1.
It's double cup if Houston is breaking out those those Oilers inspired uniforms.
No doubt. See, now
And
that
then for the $3, I might buy seats in front of my wife and I just so we can both put our feet up.
yeah, so you're buying two in front of you.
I'm
and
buying bulk for comfort.
Okay, so you're buying either 4 or 6 total for less than $20. I
Take
completely
that $20 bill and make it go a long way at that price.
exactly. Now, also at Dowdy Ficklin in Greenview, North Carolina,
Been there.
SMU at East Carolina on the 4-letter get-in price $8. That's a great environment, by the way, for a night game. Dowdy Ficklin, although I've never spoken to either Dowdy or Ficklin. But $8 to get in, SMU and East Carolina on Thursday.
I'm way in there, and I think they even serve. Memory serves. I think they have turkey legs.
Ooh,
Wow! So big soda, big ticket, big turkey leg.
there you go.
I'll be rocking in the seats like Henry VIII.
There you go.
Winter turkey leg dinner.
You ain't kidding. Friday night, Fresno State at Utah State. Sneaky good game, by the way. Get-in price $19 at Maverick with a K and no C Stadium in Logan, Utah. Fresno State and Utah State, a sneaky good game at $19.
Normally, I wouldn't throw that kind of money down for our budget games, but I'm in.
Okay.
Solid matchup. Never been to Utah, so that's half a reason to go.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to go to a stadium that's misspelled.
Yes. Maverick with a K Stadium in Logan, Utah. Saturday.
Brought to you by Spell Check.
Exactly. Noon Eastern time on the 4-letter plus the U. And it is a stadium that Marty has frequented. So I don't know if Marty would go, but he might encourage others to go. Temple at North Texas at DATCU Stadium in Denton. Get in price $11.
I used to work for them, but I'll still throw it up there. They do have Dickie's Barbecue there, which is a reason enough to go. And I'm not sure they've been doing some unique promotions. Like a week or two ago, they did a drone show afterwards. So shout out to my friends at UNT. I say go to this one.
Okay.
Trying hard to get people in the door, discount tickets, after show party. Woohoo!
Also at noon, CBS Sports Network from Ypsilanti, Michigan at Rynerson Stadium, some action with Kent at Eastern Michigan. You get to see the green and silver turf at Eastern Michigan. Get in price $12.
I'm in it for the turf. Then I like watching Kent State lose as a Youngstown State grad.
There you go.
They didn't vote for us when we tried to get into the MAC, so
Ooh.
die a slow death.
Okay.
Yeah.
Meh.
Yeah. So more action at 2:00. Get in price $16. Schumann Stadium in Muncie, Indiana, Toledo, and Ball State. You're thinking
I like Maction. I like Maction. Ball State's got a nice campus. Been there. They've got a great broadcast facilities. Unfortunately, their team ain't great. So
yes.
I'm also gonna just easily pick Toledo.
There you
Gotta
go.
pass on that one because Ball State's already made the run through the state of Georgia and did not turn out very well for them.
No, but I think
They're still running.
yes, they're still running. Some B1G action at 3:30. College Park, Maryland at SECU Stadium. Illinois at Maryland. Get in price $10.
That's sad, dude. That's just sad.
For a 5-1 team, especially.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna take because I feel sorry for him.
Okay. You're just gonna drop the two tickets.
I'm giving a sympathy cup. I might not even go.
The
I got family down there. I might go just see my brother.
Okay. Florida Atlantic at South Florida, $13 at the Pirate Ship at 3:30 on the Deuce.
South Florida hasn't been terrible this year.
And
I'm
Tampa.
gonna go for Pirate Ship
Okay.
just to see the cans get shot.
Okay. Fire the cannons. That was my.
If there were no cannons, I wouldn't go.
Fire the cannons. Gene Deckerhoff, one of my true mentors. $14. I'm going to treat this one as a double dip because it is the same conference. It's Maction. You've got two games in two separate locations at 3:30, both for $14. Akron at Central Michigan at Kelly Shorts Stadium in Mount Pleasant, Michigan, and then Kalamazoo, Michigan, Miami of Ohio at Western. And you can actually say, "Where's Waldo?" and answer Kalamazoo, Michigan, because it is legitimately Waldo Stadium.
That joke no longer works now if we know where Waldo is.
Yeah, Kalamazoo, Michigan.
I'm gonna go with Waldo.
Okay.
Of those two, I'm taking Waldo.
Because you can't be in two places at once, can you?
Correct. And as much as I like to watch Akron lose, I just
Yeah.
I have to go to Michigan either way, which is horrible. Yeah, I remember the directions from when I used to live in Ohio. North to you smell it, and then west to you step in it.
There you go.
Yeah, however, Kelly Shorts Stadium is not a bad name for a stadium either.
You said Kelly Shorts. Exactly. Western Division Maction at 4:00 on the 4-letter plus U. Husky Stadium in DeKalb, Illinois, and it is DeKalb, Illinois. $12, Ohio U at Northern Illinois. You don't sound impressed.
I'll take it.
Okay.
I'll take it.
All right.
Go Ohio.
Okay.
Go Bobcats.
Take Michigan with you. Is that how that works? Let's see. $16 at 5:00. UNLV at Nevada in Reno at McKay Stadium. That one, I mean, you could really have some fun in Reno after the game is over. Game's over, 8:00 Eastern time, 5:00 local. You go into downtown Reno. Josh Mankiewicz is shooting stand-ups for Dateline NBC on the sidewalk.
You can end up being an extra in Reno 911.
There you go.
You get a ticket for less than the price of a blackjack game.
$16 to get in at McKay.
You could double your money when you leave.
No doubt. 6:00. San Jose State at New Mexico University Stadium in Albuquerque. Get in price $18.
Having just been in Albuquerque last week, I highly recommend it. So, yeah.
I'm
Okay.
taking Phil's recommendation.
There you go.
And,
So-
plus,
Okay. I also don't know the way to San Jose.
I don't either.
and don't take the left and go to Pismo Beach.
Yeah. Should have taken the left in Albuquerque.
Albuquerque.
17
Mhm.
bucks. 7:00. You can get into the Pac-12 here. Arizona State at Washington State, 7:00 Eastern, $17 get in at Giesa Field in Pullman. Arizona and Washington State.
That's also pretty sad.
Yeah.
I'm going because Tupac needs the money.
Yes. A local game, 7:00 on the Deuce, downtown Atlanta. Marshall at Georgia State, 7:00. Get in price $12.
How did they make it on the Deuce?
Probably the rotation for the Fun Belt.
And there ain't deuce else going on at 7:00.
That
I'm taking it just to see Megatron's butt.
there you go. So downtown Atlanta, Center Park Stadium, $12. Marshall and Georgia State. Also more fun.
Town, so you can't really go wrong there, actually. They've really rehabbed that area around Summerhill.
7:00 also on the plus, more Fun Belt. $15 get-in price, Bobcat Stadium in San Marcos, Louisiana Monroe, and Texas State. That's a sneaky good game, but I don't know if I want to go to San Marcos and spend $15.
Not for the 15.
Nope.
Not buying.
And then the last one on the board, Alamo Dome, San Antonio, Texas, 8:00 Eastern on the 4-letter plus U. UAB and Trent Dilfer, presumably not yelling at assistant coaches, at Texas San Antonio. Get in price $11 to go to downtown San Antonio, Texas, home of your San Antonio Commanders.
Can't speak for Marty. I haven't been to San Antonio, so that one might be intriguing.
Okay.
Yeah, they have a little bit to do there. Try not to fall into the Riverwalk. You might get pink eye, but I'll take that one for $11.
Ah,
I just have strong memories of working at Channel 11 here in Dallas, and during the playoffs, Mark Cuban comes out of his office wearing a T-shirt that says I went to the Riverwalk and all I got was this rash.
wow. Oh,
And it's one of my most enduring memories from doing Dallas Mavericks pregame show.
oh wow.
Pretty good one.
That's
That was
pretty
epic,
good.
and he wore it for an interview, so I was quite happy with that.
Wow, that's tremendous. And as an by the way, we always like to mention games on the board, and the last game on the board is the one where you can where you can really go double or nothing, or you can try to make up the deficit that you've created for the rest of the day from all the money that you spent on all the tickets, all the games that you've been. 11:00 Eastern time, $23. It's a little out of our range, but because it's the last game on the board. Last game on the board, San Diego State on the Big Island taking on Hawaii at the Clarence T.C. Ching Athletic Complex in Honolulu. San Diego State and Hawaii, 11 o'clock Eastern time, get in price $23.
Ching sound effect for Ching Athletics Complex.
Why did I know that was coming?
You're not saving a whole heck of a lot of money though, because the
It was
cost
too
of gas-
easy. Yeah, but here's what you got to adjust for, Phil. It's in Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
So $23 in Hawaii is $9, $8 anywhere else.
Yeah.
You gotta do the island
Cost of living
gouging.
adjustment?
Yes, the gouging that's going on. In
The
the island.
location cost balance adjustment.
Yes.
Plus, like where's Waldo? That is a portable stadium.
Yeah, it is.
So it could move. So there's that added element of
Well, we know
excitement.
where Waldo
Are
is.
you going to go to the right
Western
place?
Michigan.
Yeah, Waldo's in Kalamazoo, I thought. Yeah, Waldo's in Kalamazoo. We don't have to worry about where Waldo is anymore. But
You never need an excuse to go to Hawaii, but I'll take that one.
exactly. And that's another go around of football on a budget. And this is where, through the magic of TV editing, we create a wipe, and Phil and Wilkie close the show.
Yeah, you can't beat that for how to find go to a college football game for under $20. It still blows my mind, Wilkie, that you could go to see a major conference game, West Virginia versus Houston, for $3.
Yeah, down in Houston. Yeah, that does blow your mind a little bit. Don't even need a coupon either. So it just tells you that the value of college football. You get your money's worth.
Yeah, take a $20 bill, get 2 tickets, some snacks, you're good to go. Time to go look at some previews of what's coming up in the upcoming week. And as we started clicking on the schedule, looking what the matchups were for this week, there was one game that jumped off the page pretty much immediately. It's arguably it's somewhat of a regional game, but it's also a rivalry game, and it's in what's left of the Tupac in its last season. Oregon at Washington in Seattle, 3:30 p.m. kickoff on ABC. That arguably is the best game on the board, bar none.
Well, a lot is said about last week, especially that the SEC is inheriting the Oklahoma-Texas rivalry, which is a great rivalry. But Oregon and Washington is right there with it. I mean, that is, and both programs are winning programs. So the Big Ten is inheriting a great rivalry between those two schools. And they just got to figure out a trophy to play for, because everybody plays for a trophy in the Big Ten. But this is where, if Michael Penix Jr. is going to win a Heisman Trophy, huh?
How about the coffee bean?
The coffee bean. Well, yeah, Seattle and Portland are known for their coffee. Yeah, it's not bad. I was thinking something like a sturgeon or some kind of outdoors themed trophy. The red fur, something like that, a tall fur or whatever.
Salmon.
There you go. But if this is a chance for Michael Penix Jr., who I think is playing, one of the top quarterbacks in the country, to make his Heisman Trophy resume here against a rival school and a brand name in Oregon. Right now, to me, it's a pick'em game. And you guys know how I feel about rivalry games. It could go either way. But I think this will be the game of the week, or the game of Saturday, pretty much. Both schools are in the hunt for a playoff. I think they're both playing a high level. You kind of give the edge to Washington because they are hosting the game at Husky Stadium, and that place, that's one of the great venues of college football. So if you got to pick, I guess it'd be Washington, but I just think this is going to be a great game to watch.
Yeah, really, I'm interested to see the matchup of Penix versus 17th year senior quarterback Bo Nix of Oregon.
It's a great quarterback matchup. Both teams have, both teams get it as far as having the talented players on both sides of the line. Both teams do get that. And I really like what Dan Lanning is doing at Oregon. He's brought some toughness mentality and that enthusiasm as well to Eugene. So yeah, again, another great game to watch. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, another game that should be pretty interesting, and you mentioned it a little earlier in this block. Some ACC action. Miami traveling to Chapel Hill to take on North Carolina.
And again, let's see how Miami responds after an inexcusable loss to Georgia Tech at home. Yeah, let's see how they respond in Chapel Hill on Saturday. And I really think this is where Drake May is going to start compiling his Heisman resume. He's going up against a pretty decent defense in Miami. But I just think Carolina now has kind of found itself, and they're going to start rolling some wins. And, I like Carolina in this one.
Another interesting game. It's not a major network game, at least as of this moment. 3:30 kickoff in Knoxville. Texas A&M versus Tennessee, two teams with big aspirations going into the season. As Texas A&M always seems to have big aspirations and fall on their face. Tennessee hasn't been as impressive as we thought they'd be. But those two teams match up in a 3:30 kickoff and probably an elimination game for one of them in the SEC this year.
Yeah, I'm just wondering how interested Texas A&M is going to be in that game after the loss to Alabama and knowing kind of where they are in the pecking order of the SEC West. How are they going to get motivated to play Tennessee? I think Tennessee still has something to play for. And it helps that the game's being played at Neyland. But I like Tennessee in that game. I think you're right, Phil. It's two teams that had big aspirations this year that just hasn't fulfilled them. And, A&M's already got two losses, a loss in the conference. So how interested are the Aggies going to be in this one? We'll see. But I like Tennessee in this one.
Got to talk about a game that's near and dear to my heart. And to Sunbelt Conference football fans, Georgia Southern travels up to play James Madison. And the Dukes, arguably one of the best small group of five schools playing, and it's really only their first year as a group of five school. They're in the Sunbelt, and right now they're the number one team in the conference. Southern's right behind them. Actually a pretty intriguing matchup. Madison known for playing some really tough defense, and Southern has been lighting everybody up they played.
James Madison is probably what Georgia Southern was when they joined Division I, the FBS. What was it, about 15 years ago or around there? Very similar in the makeup. A FCS power that always played made deep playoff runs, and now has moved up into the FBS level. And James Madison has not skipped a beat. I mean, they've moved into the Sun Belt and they're challenging for the conference championship. And you've got two traditional, these are two traditional powers. We know about Georgia Southern simply because you went to school there, and we were in Georgia. We know the history behind it, and they built somewhat of a national brand because of that. James Madison has built their own brand too, and they've got more of a regional brand, but people know who they are. And now they've moved up in the FBS, and we have us here at the review, we have a soft spot for the Sun Belt Conference, and we love to see these type of matchups in that conference. So I think it's going to be a great game. I'm going to give the edge to your alma mater, Georgia Southern. It's a been there, done that scenario for them, playing a road game. It's going to be crazy at JMU on Saturday because, this is probably the biggest, this could be a signature win in their short-lived FBS life in James Madison, but I like Georgia Southern in this one.
Could be rocking in Harrisonburg. Tune in on ESPN2. That's where my tail is going to be, in front of the TV watching that game. One last game to talk about here before we wrap things up on the show, and it's another game that we mentioned earlier in this block. Some Mountain West action. Wyoming traveling to Colorado Springs to take on the Air Force.
And these are two teams. This is going to be a tough physical game because both teams like to get after it in the trenches. And I was really impressed with Wyoming's offense. I was impressed with Wyoming's team in general. And remember what they've done this year. Air Force, they are Air Force. You know they're going to run the option, the precision passing. They're going to be fundamentally sound. This is a 17-14 type of game. And I'm sure there's going to be some weather coming into Colorado Springs. That's going to make it a little chilly, and there's going to be some frost coming out of the noses of the players. This is going to be an old-fashioned football type of game. And if I got to pick, I'm going with Wyoming in this one because they're in a brutal part of their schedule, but I think they're tough enough, have really toughened themselves to win these type of games on the road. And so I'm going to go with the Cowboys in this one.
That's a full slate of games. There's a whole bunch more. Just tune into your local, your TV guide on Saturday morning, or go online and take a look at, see what the schedule is. Pick out the game that you like, because guys, it's college football. It doesn't get much more fun than that.
And you got a game every day of the week: Tuesday,
Exactly.
Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
We're taking Monday off, but yep.
And a pretty good one on Tuesday night in the Sun Belt, Coastal Carolina and Appalachian State and Boone.
Mm-hmm.
The couches might be on fire.
Wilkie, you got anything else to add here before we wrap things up for this episode?
It's good to be in October. The games are becoming much more meaningful. The weather's getting crisper, and just looking forward to more college football.
The air is cooling off and the games are heating up. He said it just exactly the way it should be. For Brother Wilkie, I am Brother Phil. And for Brother John and Marty, we are the part of the OSG sports team. This is our college football show, The Review. We thank you for tuning in, for sticking around, for listening to hear what we have to say about the game we enjoy and love the most. And that is college football. For the entire OSG sports team, thanks for tuning in. We will catch hopefully all of you again next week. Bye-bye. Please like and subscribe.